25th day of May. So I'll turn it over to you and our presenters.
Well, first thing we have on our agenda is we have Nash County Economic Development here this afternoon, and they'd like to address the council with regard to Nash County Economic Development. So we have Stacy Sasher. I never get your last name.
We joke about it.
Schatzer, who's our county manager, and Andy Haag, who's the Nash County Economic Development Director, and Susan Phelps, who's the Retail Economic Development Director, and of course Robbie Davis, Chairman of the Nash County Board of Commissioners.
So just real briefly, thank you for having us. We are extremely excited about the possibilities moving forward, and we hope that the presentation today will get you all excited about them as well. Andy and Susan have done a phenomenal job working on economic development for Nash County over the last several years, and we hope that we can share that with the town of Nashville moving forward. So I'll turn it over to Andy.
All right. Thank you, and it's good to be here, and thank you for this opportunity to share a little bit of what we've been doing for the few months over 2 years, believe it or not. And that's also was in the middle of COVID. But I think what you will see today that we've accomplished quite a bit, especially this past year, as well as 5 months into this year. We've already probably going to break last year's record on their jobs and capital investment that we did last year. But this presentation is a little bit of a little combination of in blended presentation from marketing, presentation that we share with a visiting company when they show up, and we do our little dog and pony shows, so we always have a PowerPoint and go through some items that we have on the PowerPoint, and then there's the other part of it is a economic update, numbers and data and so forth that show you really hard numbers. These are live. The projects that we're going to share with you are live and happening right now. Especially we're working on our 5th contract, land purchase contract, and so we're excited about that. And so I hope you enjoyed. And if you got any questions in the middle of it, please speak up, and we will attempt to answer your question if we can. And if we can't, we'll get the answers later to you. And so I'm going to do about the opening part of it, 50% of it, and I'm going to turn it over to Susan, and she can go into the marketing, our digital marketing campaign, and some numbers that we've generated from that, which has been really great, and also into the retail aspect of it. So before I begin, anybody got any questions to start? All right. And I'll do the Vanna White thing here, and hope I don't trip over the cord. We'd start out with our staff. It's a 3-member economic development staff, and keep in mind, again, we're a little over 2 years old. So we've got a good capacity to work with, and even though the workload keeps building and building, we're still able to respond in a professional way, especially to the State Economic Development Partnership and anybody else that responds or sends us inquiries regarding projects.
Sorry. You warned me about that.
And this is a part of our marketing presentation to a company. They always want to know, well, where exactly are we? Because most times they're traveling through 3 or 4 states, and sometimes an entire state. So when they get to you, they're totally turned around and confused. So we always like to start out with this map, the state as well as the Research Triangle region, to locate our county and in their position with the Research Triangle region, as well as the airport and I-95. So we always like to start out there. And of course, why Nash County? We always like to hit some bullet points to let them know why we're a good place for the business location. And just change the pointer. Oh, a pointer. Oh.
It's got a laser pointer on it, the red button.
Red button. Oh, I gotta hold it. Oh, okay. But the biggest thing, I like using my finger.
That's fine.
Biggest thing we like to point out is right here. No tax increase since 2010. Tax rate is 67 cents per 100. And that's important because companies looking where they want to locate and put down around 25 to 50 to $100 million, they want to be sure that they are located in a locality that is financially sound and fiscally responsible. So that is a very important point that we like to point out to companies. Also, then we narrow it down, focus a little bit more on the county itself, give them a little more bearings of where they are. Of course, right here where the county seat is, and then our location of our business parks and sites, as well as the new intermodal rail terminal and the airport and all the infrastructure that is important for these companies. And the workforce. Workforce is very, very important now, as we all have been hearing. And so we like to not only say we've got a good workforce, but we break it down, especially if they're a manufacturing company or if they're a distribution company, but they kind of like to know what's the percentage and where our workforce falls in. And you can see because of there are several major manufacturing facilities like Cummins and Pfizer, we're heavy on the manufacturing side, and then you can see the remaining breakdown in the numbers. In clusters, different companies like to cluster where other similar type industry companies are. So this is one reason we like to point this out, especially our food processing and our manufacturing, which we're showing here, and we've already added 2 more that we will share with you later, with the Trump's Naturals and the Sonova Tech announcement we had here recently. So we've got 2 more to add under food processing. And I'm sure everybody's familiar with the advanced manufacturing industries. And these are the announcements I'm speaking of. These are recent announcements and expansions. Of course, Cummins, as you're very familiar with, is the one that purchased the CFE building. And just ran into the CEO yesterday, actually, in the exchange. And he was very pleased, and they were moving along. They have hired a plant manager. So they're rolling there and very satisfied. And we're going to plan, hopefully, we were aiming for September, but probably October. We're going to put together like a ribbon cutting celebration event with them and invite everybody locally as well as state to attend. But Cummins, of course, back up, they had a major investment last year. And so we were pretty satisfied with that. No jobs, but capital investment. And of course, you just read recently, these 2 recently, about a couple of weeks from me, between each other, Sonova Tech, a Raleigh-based food processing company that purchased our 62,500 square foot shell building in the Middlesex Corporate Center, and creating eventually up to 75 jobs and, of course, 11 million capital investment. And then just soon after that, probably announced Sonova Tech a little soon. But then recently, the Korean company that just announced that is also located in the Middlesex Corporate Center. However, they're purchasing 28 acres and constructing a facility. And we'll be investing up to $12.8 million and hiring up to 168 new employees.
Nice.
And this is the Sonova Tech groundbreaking, quote unquote. We wasn't, since it was a shell building, we didn't know what to do, a ribbon cutting or a groundbreaking, so we decided on the groundbreaking. I just had to point out when this pile of dirt was delivered early before this event, it was this high. So we had to, thank God they had a piece of equipment on site that helped us spread it out a little bit. But we're excited about that. They're finishing out the building right now, and they're going to be a great corporate member of their business community. And I know they're going to be very active with the community. And again, we like to point out our business parks and industrial sites. We got the Whitaker Business and Industry Center, which is a very developed park where we have cheesecake and several, I don't want to list all the businesses, but very developed. But we do have a 38-acre site there, 38-acre site there that I'll show you eventually that's already under contract. Of course, the 142-acre 97 site, and then the 368-acre Middlesex Corporate Center. And this is the, we call it our I-95 NC Highway 97 distribution site, and mainly because its location, obviously, then sectors of 95. We believe that is soon to be a under contract, because that's just a perfect distribution, logistics, fulfillment center site. And we've had several inquiries lately on that site. So it's just, we're just expecting any time now to get some traction on that site. We always like to lay out a conceptual site on the property to give a lot of the companies an idea of just exactly how much square feet can fit on the property. If they're looking for a 400,000 square foot facility, then they can see how they can fit on this property, because you go there now and you just see a nice piece of farmland. And so this always helps in the marketing of the property. And the Middlesex Corporate Center, which is basically almost 30 minutes to downtown Raleigh. This is the one that's been seeing all the action, and this is where we have 4 contracts. And Chairman, we've received another proposal for 5 acres this morning. So that could be 5 contracts possibly underway on this property. It's a developed, planned park. You can see the highway that goes all the way through it. It's 50% completed, and we're in the process of designing and continuing the paving and curbing of the road out to 264A. So we'll have a complete highway through the park. This is our shell building that Sonova Tech purchased and is renovating or refitting for their use. It's nice to see some activity when you drive through the park to see everything happening out there. This will give you a real idea of what's going on out there in Middlesex. This is the shell building right here that's purchased. The board took action on Monday to move ahead with the second shell building, same size, 62,500. We have done due diligence across the road for a 1 million square foot building, and due diligence on that helps speed up the approval process, as well as the company's decision whether they are interested in it or not, because you try to do as much homework ahead of time so they will have all that data to help make their decision on that particular site. And speed to market is the big thing now. It's everybody's in a hurry to get up and running. So the more you can tee it up for them, the better we are in locating somebody on that site. As well as the other sites, this is one of the contracts that's underway right now. I mean, this is live, this is happening. They're doing due diligence right now themselves. This is a 1 million square foot distribution center. This is the announcement Korean company that just announced last week, 28 acres right there. We've got another 10-acre contract right here from a local existing agricultural company. We have a 5-acre contract right here, and then this is the 5 acres that we received an email and a proposal on this morning. And this is available property right here, again showing conceptuals so everybody can see if they're looking for a 150 square foot building, they can see how it lays on this land, so it gives them a good idea. We have acquired since the past year and a half, in addition to what we had, another 120 acres at the beginning. So we've been not only selling property, we've been buying property, but at the same time turning it around and selling it. So we're driving our county attorney almost crazy with all the transactions we've got going on. This is our Whitaker Business and Industry Center South. This is our 37.4 acre You can see the developed park in the back where Poppy's and Cheesecake and Nut Cow is located. This is an excellent site. You got all the utilities. It's 5 miles from the new CXX intermodal rail facility. And you can see the location from the airports and so on. This is under contract as well. And this is what they are proposing, a 400,000 square foot facility on this property. It's under contract. This is live and happening. And they are also doing their due diligence. And we also have 20 acres over at the airport. I mean, it's a great location, especially for any corporate and T hangars, aircraft maintenance, aviation manufacturers, and so on. Good location to the regional airport. And let's see, where is this? I think you're familiar with this property. We would like to just do a little plug here. I mean, we have marketed, we have shown it with Randy several times, very recently. I must add to that. But we'd like to tee that up a little more and get a little more aggressive on it, and I can guarantee you we'll probably have somebody on that site by the end of the year.
You want me to go ahead? We went ahead and took the opportunity. It might need some editing with Randy's proofing, but we did try to go ahead and put together a aerial drone marketing video for the site for Nashville. We do this for all of our county-owned properties, and we also have them for the Nashville retail sites, which has helped us out here at Nash Crossing behind Sheets. So we'll kind of show you. It might take a minute to load, but I wanted to give you guys an idea of what that site looks like. Of course, they might not want to do it.
While she's doing that, I wanted to start out and actually say this is the first budget work session I've ever attended and not asking for any money. Unless you want me to.
Oh, let's see. How do I get out of that presentation mode, Randy?
Is
Like
it on?
Susan was saying, we've got a aerial
Is it
video
on your
on
zip
all
drive?
of their properties, which is
Oh,
very, very good.
Let's
And
try
a lot of
that way.
counties, a lot of localities do not have these because they're very, very expensive. However, we're very fortunate that we got our communication director, loves drones, has his
Do you
own.
have volume mode?
And this is how we are able to produce these.
It doesn't work on that projector,
Okay,
but it might pull up on the computer.
that's fine. This one just has background music. We have a couple of other marketing videos to show that have some sound. But you can see how we're laying the attributes of the site onto the video so that people can get a quick visual of what that site has to offer. And yeah, we joke that when you look at it on site, it looks kind of different with the trees cut, but from the air, it makes it look almost ready to go. So
Yeah.
it's helpful.
Can't see how that
This
north
is a
lot
very
falls off at
attractive
all.
site.
No, you can't. It's perspective. So that can give you an idea of what we do from a marketing standpoint. And it does have background music to it, you know, a little bit of that elevator pitch. Let's see. Get back to it.
Has anybody got any questions while we're in the pause?
I can get this thing to work.
Andy, in Middlesex, what sewer system is that? Is that hooked up to
That's
one?
the town. Yeah, we work closely with the town, with the sewer, water and sewer.
And are they still under moratorium restrictions on that?
Middlesex,
That's Bailey.
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 Okay.
Middlesex sewer goes away.
Where's Crump Natural? Where is that located?
The Osefi plant.
Oh, that's a
Universal.
Universal Secret?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, they're on I think the town's water and sewer.
Well, it's on Nash County, but it comes through here
Something
and goes through here.
Yeah,
It's on our water. Y'all's an hour
yeah.
and Rocky Mountain.
All right, continuing on, I had mentioned this earlier, but if you've been in a coma for the past couple of years, I'd be surprised you haven't heard anything about the Caroline Connector, which we're excited about. It's a regional, nice infrastructure for the region, and we have been marketing it very heavily. and through our different types of digital marketing campaign, articles and flyers and so forth. But it's a great asset, and we've actually, the 400,000 square foot project I told you that is under contract at the Whitaker site. One reason was they picked that spot was this connector, so we're pretty excited about that. Now this is 2021, the year in view. Just look this over real quick. 303 jobs, 1.2 million in grants, and this is another fortunate asset we have, that we have our in-house grant writers. So we're pretty aggressive in receiving grants. Investments 142 million. Now our total activity last year was 85 jobs, and the total job number, investment number, of course that's not what we're going to work on in land, but if we get 5% of that, we'd be pretty happy. And we always like to add in our residential activity and investment along with that. And as we all know in this room, at least from the county, that's continuing to grow as well. This is 2022, so this does not include what I just showed you for 2021. This is in addition to those numbers. So this is active projects. This is actually, again, live projects that we're working. This is the total job number, the capital investment, which is substantial, 2.4 billion. This is the breakdown of the type of industries that are looking at us. This will give you, that's our target industries. This is the activity that we're having right now from those types of industries. These are our generators for leads. We're very proud to say that we generate our own leads about 50% over. So that's very good. We don't rely on the state or anybody else. We generate our own 50% plus leads. But we don't turn away any projects when the state partnership sends them to us. As I said earlier, we're a member of the Research Triangle Regional Partnership, which helps market. We're one of 12 counties in that region, so they do a great job of marketing the region, which includes us, so we get some great national and international exposure through them. And of course, Duke Energy sends us a few projects. We work closely with national and international site consultants. These are consultants that companies hire to help when they're looking for properties to locate a new facility. So they're important folks to know, as well as commercial real estate brokers. Now these are the ones I was saying is actually under contract, and this is the total investment that we're looking at, total number of jobs, and the industries that they represent. And like I said earlier, 5 our projects are in the Middlesex Corporate Center. We've got the one in the Whitaker site. This is the total square feet that we're looking at, and the total number of acres that are under contract. This is not just numbers we're throwing up. We're actually talking and working out purchase agreements with these companies. And the old saying is, no product, no project. Thanks to a great proactive economic development board and chairman, took action Monday. We're moving ahead with not 1 but 2 shell buildings. As I said earlier, thanks to a Gold Leaf grant, we're building another shell building next to the existing shell building on our 97 site. They also took action to move ahead, which we're already kind of moving ahead, thanks to a $1 million grant from the State Capital and Infrastructure Fund. We were applying that toward a 100,000 square foot shell building on our 97 site. And then this is the contract we have at the Whitaker, and the developer's proposing a 400,000, or not proposing, he's going through due diligence to construct a 400,000 square foot private spec building, or private shell building, if you want to call it that, which is under development and contract. So you got to have product. You got to have product, because if you don't have a building, or if you don't have land with infrastructure teed up, ready to go, then you're not even in the ballgame. All right, this is another initiative that we've been working on since I arrived here, and unfortunately due to COVID and lots of activity that has been generating over the past 2 years, it's delayed a little bit, but it's teed up again. We're excited about it. It's the mission, as you can read, is to work to enhance and emphasize activities. You can read it. I'm not going to read it for you, but the bottom line for you is going to be the alliance is going to consist of representatives from the county and all the towns in the county. I'll let you read that. And one important item to notice is that the Economic Development Department will be providing the support for the alliance at no cost. And we're going to provide the staff support and technical support and work with the towns, as Susan already does, but this is going to be an even broader initiative. And I mentioned site consultants. This is part of their overall marketing campaign. These folks are important, and they've grown drastically over the years. They used to be, you could count them on your one hand, and now they have various associations among themselves, which everybody tries to attend their events. And as well, the North Carolina Economic Development Partnership, of course, gets involved with hosting them, as well as even the National Economic Development magazines are even hosting consultant workshops, which we try to attend as much as possible. And back to marketing, I'm going to turn it over now, and Susan can go into explaining something we also initiated over 2 years ago, our digital marketing campaign with WRAL, and which I believe that, in addition to a few other little secrets that we have in our toolbox, I think that has a lot to do with us generating over 50% of our own leads. So with that and a couple other, and I'll even mention it, it's a commercial real estate marketing tool called LoopNet. This is all these programs and campaigns have really generated a lot of activity and exposure for the county. You want to take it?
Sure. Do you want me to stand or sit? So if you subscribe to our newsletter, you'll get these monthly where we give updates. But we started about 2 years ago working with WRAL Digital Solutions on a marketing campaign. We were a new department. We also felt like we had a narrative to create for the county in general, not just in terms of traditional economic development from an industry standpoint, but from a quality of life, residential development. We wanted to tell the story more to the Triangle and to metro regions, that we are aligned with them, that we are a rural community, but we have the best of both worlds. So we felt like getting involved in a digital marketing campaign with somebody of influence like WRAL was a good fit for us. We had a story to tell, it hadn't been told, so let's create it. The best part about this program is we get to create the narrative. So monthly, we work with WRAL to draft a story. We get full editorial control over what that story says. They post it on their homepage once a month and do branded social media and targeted advertising. So we do it every 6 months. We brainstorm 6 months worth of articles and topics. It's been great because for 2 years we haven't run dry on what to talk about, because something's always changing, something's always new in Nash County. And so you can actually go to our Spotlight page, and I'll follow up with an email to everybody with some links to these in case our videos are not working so that you can see them. But some of the things that we've talked about specifically regarding Nashville and highlighting Nashville is the partnership with the Junction Project. I know when we sent that out, we had a lot of interest from other publications. I think the TVJ reached out to Randy and I to talk about how great of a public-private partnership that was for the town, and to see a smaller community getting involved with something like that. We've done new housing development that has specifically targeted Nashville. We've also done some retail and commercial ones that aren't on here as well. And then in addition, the new industry announcements, we've highlighted the Crump Group's location to Nashville because of the proximity to the sweet potato market, which is what made this site so appealing and how fast they moved on that. So I don't know if this will work, but if you do follow us, it might not have sound. It doesn't want to play. Yep. Well, if he doesn't have sound, it won't be as good anyways, because you need to hear the testimonials. But we will send you the links to those. So we have one video that highlights work in Nash that we did first. We got testimonials from the company that located in the Cook Road development and how Nashville was just a perfect fit for their company and for their business. So they were able to highlight the attributes that Nashville played in their decision to locate here. We also highlight Poppy's International with their decision as an international company to locate in Nash County, proximity to transportation, the workforce, the community that's been created. Then we did a general, we call it a hype video. So we're trying to get people excited about Nash County. Nashville is just the perfect picturesque place to highlight in these videos, and so a lot of the downtown businesses participated in that. In addition to this one, we highlighted the real estate market, and so we got some good footage of downtown Nashville and then the residential developments and also the historic district that highlighted how our residential rates are about $125,000 to $150,000 less than in Wake County. But even if you're a commuter back to Wake County, you can get there within 40 minutes. So we'll send you those. Retail development, so what I was spending most of my time doing, we've seen a lot of development. I have never seen so much interest in Nashville for retail as I have in the last year. It was like coming out of COVID, it just something burst. We've seen the addition of the Dunkin' development, and that happened so quickly and has been such a good redevelopment of that really premier spot. Obviously, KFC will be under development soon in that parking lot. Cookout will be under development soon behind Sheets, and that property was acquired last year too. And then the Vino Market. I've seen all of y'all at the ribbon cutting at that one, so we were excited that Joanne decided to pick Nashville for her store. She was looking in other communities, and this building was the perfect fit, and the community was the perfect fit. And I think that she's seeing that from the small business support that she's receiving. I also like to point out the Dorches project is a New Dixie redevelopment. Their current gas station right off 95. That was my first project probably with Nash County. It's been going on that long. And he is one of the recipients of the small business grant that we offer, that Ace Hardware here in Nashville was also a participant in, because that program was created by our commissioners, and we appreciate the Nashville support on that Ace Hardware project, because it takes a hurdle from a small business standpoint, from an infrastructure need or a capital improvement need, helps us get some buy-in to them, and we see our return tenfold. I mean, we see the success that the Ace Hardware is seeing in taking a site that when he originally told me he selected, I thought he was crazy because it looked like a giant ditch to me. And we've seen it turn into a successful piece of commercial business here in the town. So there's just a few of the retail. Like I mentioned, we have the marketing videos that we do for our industrial sites, but we also do them for our private partners. So our private property owners that have good, ready-to-go commercial sites for retail, we've also created videos for them. We do the signage on the sites. We're not brokers, so we don't expect to get that, but we try to funnel interested businesses through to those property owners. A lot of times I joke with them that I can help weed out the ones that I know they won't take seriously, so they won't bother them with their phone number, they can just bother me. And we've seen a lot of success from that. Obviously the East Point development beside Walmart has been a hot property in the last year with interest because of the intersection and the road on Eastern Avenue. I know that that's going to be, when that's completed, just a great benefit for Nashville from a retail standpoint. And I'm sorry, it did not pull my updated version. We pulled our residential permit numbers for the town of Nashville and for the county. Let me see what's on my printed one. Just to kind of give you guys an idea of where we're seeing the growth pattern. Obviously, y'all are seeing it from the subdivision approvals that you've had. But from a permits standpoint, last year we had 505 new permits for residential throughout the whole county. This year alone, just to date, from January to now, we've had 192. throughout the county. So we're seeing a lot of activity on the residential development. Nashville's had 60 since January of last year. So we've had several subdivisions approved within the town of Nashville. Now they're starting to build them out, which I think is going to really help our retail development, but also help our workforce recruitment for these industries that we're looking to recruit. So I'd just like to touch on, we're not just the traditional big box industrial recruitment. We kind of touch across all aspects of it, quality of life, retail, residential, and try to bring all of those together because economic development touches our community. We're building wealth within our community, and we really see that happening in Nashville. And I don't think I have anything else in there. Yeah, we have our contact information on the next slide, so you've got that printed out. I believe I've added you all to our newsletter list now after we talked, but I will confirm that and make sure that you're getting it. We send it out at the end of every month. It actually will go out later this afternoon, and just a good way to keep up with what we have going on throughout the county and the department. Any questions for me, Andy?
What are the hotel prospects looking like? Susan?
So that is I had that conversation yesterday in a travel and tourism meeting.
With the mayor?
So we saw a lot of interest on that, obviously, before COVID. Since COVID's been kind of going away, I'll say going away, I've had 2 prospective inquiries again. But at the same time, since our last hotel market study was done in 2018, we've had 2 new properties locate in Rocky Mount at the Winstead Avenue. So that dilutes our room nights a little bit. It saturates the market, but we also know that there's a need. We're kind of hoping with some more industrial recruitment that it's going to help that study look better, because that's what was really lacking when we did that for Nashville. We had great weekend business. We know that we're going to have reunions. We know we're going to have ball tournaments that are now utilizing the park, but it was lacking in a Monday through Thursday room night. So until we can see the business, which right now is down across the country, so that's not uncommon. But we're going to stay on it. We have a list of hotel developers that we try to reach out to and punch every once in a while to say, hey, don't forget about us. And I work with Barbara on Travel and Tourism, who keeps up with the market data for average rate, occupancy, so that we can update those numbers as we get inquiries. So we got our fingers crossed that we're going to get us a good limited service brand, national brand. And the best part is that y'all have 3 sites that it would technically work on. So you've got Nash Crossing at the back, the cul-de-sac, you've got the East Point site, and you also have the site beside Ribeyes. And we already have architectural drawings for the 2 at this intersection for any perspectives that would come in. Your residential development will help that hotel come along too. Anything else?
Quiet.
Well, we appreciate y'all's time and attention. Like I said, I'll email those videos to you in your free time if you haven't seen them. I highly suggest picking out some of your hometown celebrities that participated and helped act in those for us.
And we thank you also for coming, taking the time to come in and share with us. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Maybe just one follow-up question. Andy, you'd mentioned you have to have product in order to generate the prospects.
Yes.
Susan probably let you know that we applied for a Golden Leaf grant to help take the stumps and grub out those 2 sites on Industry Court. And we have been talking with Lee Balance about doing a 50,000 square foot shell building there. Things have changed, unfortunately, for Lee, and he's not able to do that anymore. But is that a possibility, a partnership with Nash County on a shell building?
I believe so.
Yeah. as
I can say yes.
Yeah, certainly, we have spoke about that as I spoke to you members about this. And of course, just to close it up, our key interest is to get Nashville, our county seat in Nash County, involved in our economic development. It's just a part that we really need to finish this up. I hope you see by this presentation how well that our staff has done. And it is growing each month. They're taking more and more of my time, which is wonderful, to go to these meetings, which Andy and I have an event we need to go to tonight, and then, we have an event that I need to be at, a meeting in Middlesex in just a few minutes also. But the Shell building is certainly a great possibility. Our board has discussed it many times. We have two that we have committed to do now. If Nashville so chooses to come into the partnership, of course, I can't commit our board on anything without at least 3 more votes. But we have discussed it, and it appears to be that they're very interested in moving forward with this. And she'll probably shoot me because she's trying to make the budget work right now, but we got 2 in. But I would think we could move on that very, very quickly, quite frankly. And if you want a commitment on that, it's something we'd have to get before our board get a firm commitment. There has been no opposition to it whatsoever, but where we are, we're ready to move forward with that at the time that y'all are ready to move forward with us in our economic development arena that we have got going. Before, we've been a little bit reluctant to come to you because we were putting it together. We were, as we said, very new at it. We've had 2 years under a belt, 2 tough years, I would say, to get this going. But yet, I think they've done a great job. You see what we have accomplished already and what we've got looking forward into. And these shell buildings, I'll tell you, are the way to go. But once you get one up, it used to be you could own a piece of land and keep people interested in you. It's not that way. Shell building is what you need. And our board looks at a shell building as not an expense, quite frankly. We look at it as an investment that will get a great return on our investment for it. We have never built one that we didn't get somebody in fairly quickly. The longest one was about 5 years out at Gold Rock, but we hit it at a time when the economy tanked, but we got somebody in there, and we'll do the same thing with the 2 that we got going. And I'm a firm believer if we get one up here in Nashville, it will bring somebody in very quickly. So the answer to your question is yes. And you had a
Is membership via interlocal agreement between the county and the town?
No, we support obviously all of our communities in Nash County for economic development purposes.
I'm not sure I understand the question, but
Well, a formal agreement to be part of.
there will be a formal agreement with the alliance that we want to form, that we have not formed yet. Hoping to get y'all involved before we form that, because we feel like the county seat should be a major player in that alliance. So we want to get that done and then form that. There will not be a fee to be in it. What we have discussed before, as you know, manager, is possibly the money that y'all are currently spending, you would put it potentially in a holding account to be used for any incentives that you would be doing for the industry coming to Nashville. But the cost of the economic development team is solely on the county.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. I want to make sure I understood your question. Anything else I can answer on behalf of the board?
Just, this is sort of a secondary thought to a potential hotel, Robbie. Assuming that we can get one here, would Nashville be able to participate in the occupancy tax somewhat like maybe what Rocky Mount has done? I don't know what it would look like for us, but it used to be, maybe it's changed.
Sure. Something I hadn't thought about, that's a General Assembly matter. It's not a matter of the local officials, but it's certainly something that we could go back to the General Assembly on to see if that's possible. We have actually 1 cent preliminary approved that we have never enacted, because we got up to 6, but we're currently collecting 5. And you know that better than I do. You shake your head. Most people I say that to don't understand it, but you understand it very well. So I would not say that's not certainly possible. But of course, all funds that come into that are distributed more so now than ever throughout Nash County, because that's been a goal since I've been on that board, it is to distribute throughout the county much more. And Rocky Mount currently right now, we are banking some of their funds because they haven't chosen another project yet. So it's in our coffers over at the county, and the TDA board has to approve anything they do with their 2 cents. So, and I'm talking to Russ, you know it very well. But we'll just wait, and there is a project underway that's been studied that will be over in Rocky Mountain. So certainly, remind us of that when we get to that point, we'll certainly look into it. Have not thought about that.
But getting back on Randy's question on the shell buildings and the chairman's comments about it, I too can't stress enough the asset that they bring to a community, even more now.
Yes.
I mean, it's always been in the past in economic development that most searches start with existing buildings because a lot of companies don't have the time, they don't want to go through the pain of new construction, and they want to get up and running. So the first search is usually for existing buildings. Well, that's almost doubled now because of the backup from COVID and the supply line mess that we're dealing with. So everybody is just like in triple mode of getting up and running. So to give you an idea, the CFI building, we heard the announcement last January that they were closing. We jumped on that. We got a good call from one of our local sweet potato suppliers and said, call this guy. And that was Joe Crump. And I called him. And he was interested. He was kind of familiar with it. And before they made a trip down, and this was during COVID, and he said, well, can you, and we'd sent a few pictures. I said, okay, let me do a little bit more than that. Again, thanks to our communication director, he and I went out there. He shot about 1,000 photos of inside and outside of the building, plus a drone shot of the building. We downloaded that, sent it to the company, and they were on the plane the following week. So the rest is, you know the story, but so that building closed in January of 21, and literally Crump closed on it in September of October the same year. That's how fast that building went. And that's a special use building. That's not your typical shell building design. So to find somebody to fit in a special use building, that's amazing. But then look at the shell building. I know we've had it a couple years, but we've been marketing it since I've been here for 2 years in COVID. But we've been working with Snowbatech over a year, easily. And and we closed on that within a couple months ago. So that's why I'm very excited that we're moving ahead with 2 other shell buildings, and we've got the 400,000 square foot spec building that the developer's building. So another shell building will not hurt my feelings, Chairman, and
a
Mayor,
great location.
and Mayor.
Great location.
And great location, as I said earlier. That is a great spot. You should have somebody on there, and maybe by the end of the year, if we can get things rolling here real quick, you could possibly see some activity on that because it's a great location. And you can see what we've done in Middlesex here just within a year. So just a lot of activity, but I think all of this digital marketing, this commercial real estate, internet marketing that we're doing, we're just generating our own leads in addition to the other leads that we get from outside parties. But that's the really, if you can do that, and rather than sit there and wait for somebody to bring leads to you, then you're missing the boat. So we hope this helped today, and we look forward to hearing from you. Got any questions? You got our contact information. Shoot us an email.
Any other questions? Thank you so very
Thank
much.
you.
We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
I need a bag, lady.
Bye-bye.
See y'all, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, John, you're up. Larry, you can move around if you
I'm
wish.
I'm satisfied right here. I'm good.
And I know Orange County charges their own occupancy tax, but Chapel Hill also charges theirs as well. So I think it might just be something we do again.
Do you have to get a local act by the legislature to do that?
I think
do.
so. Yeah.
Well, we're doing one on our charter, and
Is there a workaround where we wouldn't get it up front, but we would somehow get it after the fact?
Still has to go to the legislature,
Okay.
or at least that was the way it worked.
I never thought I think we need some Middlesex stuff.
yeah. Again, this morning when I was calling around for
Fresh one?
architects,
Mine got wet.
I don't mind.
I talked to one
Mine.
that has a direct line with hotels, so I told him, we really want a hotel.
It's interesting that they have a full-time grant writing department.
Yeah.
That's what makes a difference. Patsy.
But the thing about the hotels is that we've had rumors about that for 10 years, and nothing has materialized.
Yeah.
Now's the time.
And then we did have that one guy, Larry and I remember, but I don't know whatever happened to him.
So I think what we need to do is focus on exactly what Susan was saying, getting the weeknight portion of the study filled. When they do these information sessions, they go up for the need for a hotel.
Okay, Mayor, take it away.
Well, John, take it away. We've looked through all this, the information, I'm sure you chewed on it like I have.
I'm here to answer.
So are there any questions for John? Now listen, make sure we ask questions here and get answers. So when we get in a public forum, we will look like we haven't worked and we don't know what we're doing.
Lynn, can you ask the question that you had asked via email? Just as far as sustainability for
Yes.
going forward, just so we can get that.
And that was asked at the last of when we had the budget session. I wanted to make sure that we had revenues that would cover our operational needs. Some of these things are ongoing, like the salary group.
Yeah, like the salary there, but it's about $900,000 in capital, and so that if it's 912 in appropriated fund balance, 900,000 in capital, and there's also expenses that are going to be gone away in the next 3 years that won't return, and then like the fire truck, we spend $70,000 a year. I'm sorry, not the fire truck. The garbage truck, we spend $65,000 to $70,000 a year. That runs through 2026. After that, we might have 2 or 3 years where we don't have to get a new one and get financing on that. They were listed out of that email. The separation allowance for the 2 retired police officers, one expires this year and the other expires in 25. Sorry, I'm looking for that email I sent. But I had it listed out in there. Let me pull it up.
Basically, what my question was, and you answered it in detail because that's what we need, but it's to know that with the budget that we have, with no tax increase, that we are able to sustain our ongoing expenditures, understanding that we are pulling money from our fund balance in order to apply that to one-time capital costs or one-time non-recurring expenditures. And I think what you sent here, which is in your packet, to me that was very helpful. I'll find it again here today.
I think it starts on page 115.
Yes, that was it. Okay. Yeah.
And John, maybe you could just lead the council in a review of those.
Yeah, sorry. So I was supposed to follow that up.
So page 115 is a 10-year history of appropriated fund balance. In my time here in Nashville, we've always used some of the fund balance in order to balance the budget, which obviously statutory requirement is to have a balanced budget. And it's nice to have a fund balance to draw upon to do that with, because as you know, capital typically is beyond your means with just incoming revenue and ongoing expenses. So
From the email, it was 912 in appropriated fund balance, 919,000 in capital outlay items, and one-time expenditures. The NCLM fellow, that's $7,500. The planning software, that has a $10,000 setup fee, which will only recognize it. No, I'm sorry, not recognize. Receive the first year. Some of the minimum housing for 112 Arrowwood and a property on Brody Street, Body Street. That's $20,000 that we won't have next year. Ruggedized laptops that we won't need to replace for several more years after that. And then there's several other small ones, just when I wrote the email, just off the top of my head, of things that will be going away for some, for the foreseeable future, for most of those things, like the 2,000 in bathroom rentals. Obviously, it's $2,000. It's not that big of a deal.
John, is there a page you're looking at?
It is page. Let's see. I believe it is. I've not updated my packet. I think it should be 115. Or was that just something I handed out? I'll just pull it up on my email.
And we won't have to, next year, we won't have to purchase all these vehicles, see,
Yeah.
some of the departments won't need.
Yeah, like cemetery, there's
Cemetery,
cemetery,
right.
sanitation,
Cemetery.
the 3 new officer, yeah.
Right. The question I got, the grants that we got from highway safety grants, that we have to pay, like,
That $92,000, yeah.
how would that hit us next year, because our percentage goes up in the second year, and the year after that, 3 years down the road, we got to take up the entire cost.
Yeah.
So how are we going to?
That will be about, so the 92,000 that paid for vehicle, and then 40, I forget the exact figure, but 40, low to mid 40 of salary. And so you probably have to add another 20% of that, so around 55,000 per year you're looking at. And that is, hold on.
It was the last page in your packet for today. It's got the page number 1 on it. It's the very final. It was an email from John to Lynn.
I read the email, I just don't have it.
Yeah.
Did you find it, Louise?
Yeah.
So it's that, as well as I don't think we were not awarded the Safer grant for the 3 firefighters though, right?
Not yet.
No,
No,
I'm sorry,
not yet.
Not yet. So those are the 2. Those are the 4. Yeah, 3 firefighters, 1 police officer. Those are the 4 positions that we'll have to, at some point in the future, have to start covering.
Yeah, cool.
And I factored that into a 15-year projection, with revenue going up 1% and expenditures going up 4%, with 50% of the property developments being actualized, and it just going through fiscal year 2035. It either keeps fund balance at the same or increases it slightly, and that's at a 1% increase for revenues and a 4% increase for expenses.
So of the $912,578 of fund balance that you have appropriated in the budget, you have broken down, that's what that email was, that the breakdown of the capital items, which was basically $919,000. And then there were some one-time expenditures, which are also listed there. So that was a total of about 950-some thousand. Which means there would be some small amount of fund balance, or either
It would
there's
be
an offset
965. So if the one-time expenditures are 965 and appropriated fund balance is lower than that, it would.
We're going to assume there would be some additional revenue to help offset. Is that an accurate statement? Based on the fact that when you budget, you can't budget 100% of your revenues.
Yeah.
You can only budget whatever the prior year collection rate is. And you're going to not spend 100% of your expenditure. So there's going to be some.
Yeah, and I try to show that just historically. We typically spend about 90% of the budgeted expenditures, and we typically collect 103% of the budgeted revenues, just over the course of the last 10 years.
Right.
And we almost never, if we ever show a gain, we obviously do not appropriate any fund balance, and and so column M, if we show a gain, we obviously do not recognize any of the appropriated fund balance, and when we do, it's never anywhere close to even, I think the highest one was 47%, and that was that's this year just due to the purchase of the $691,000 for a fire truck.
Right.
last year, our fund balance started out at, appropriated fund balance started out at $565,688.
Mm-hmm.
And before the year, when it ballooned into
1.7.
1,708,000.
That was just due to the fire truck buying it 2 years early, just to get a better rate on it, and the Windy Oak drive for stormwater.
Okay, my concern is 912 going to balloon into, that's a downside.
Well, I mean, it's gonna have to come before the council anyway to be approved, so.
Yeah.
At any meeting, we have the authority not to approve an additional use of fund balance.
The only things that, again, the meteor could hit and it takes away the whole police complex, and we have to, other than big things like that, the only thing I could see is that is a significant number is if there's a huge stormwater, some storm and a stormwater thing breaks and we have to repair it, or the purchase of the Parks and Rec building where the cleaners is at. Those are the only two things that I could see that would be significant changes to appropriated fund balance. And like Lynn said, that would have to go before the board for y'all to approve it.
What about in case the grant does not come through that we've applied for to correct our sewer problem in Essex Road and in
We would, Larry, most likely take on a loan to do those if we don't get that.
Okay. So we would need the appropriate.
Because that's an right.
Okay.
It would be wise to do that versus use your general fund appropriation or your fund balance, because that's enterprise, and whatever cost should be paid by the ratepayers.
Yes.
I mean, I just didn't want us to do all this and let it slip by because, we caught a little bit of flack. Some citizens said that we jumped on fixing the problem we had out here with the water in Windy Oaks, but yet we've sliding Essex Road and Regency, sliding them down the road. I mean, we've slid them down long enough. That's a problem out there we need to go ahead and fix one way or the other.
But the likelihood of getting grant money for those sewer problem is far greater. I mean, there was no opportunity for Windy Oak for grant money
Right,
on
I know
that.
it wasn't, but there's still money spent.
Yeah, you're right.
When will we hear from those grants?
June 16th. So,
I have a question about the pay study of the COLA.
Mm-hmm.
Last time you said that came to 368, 758.
If you wrote that down, I think it's about that number. I don't know if that was the exact number, but.
Okay, so 5 new hires
Mm-hmm.
before, 3 in the police department, 2 in the fire department.
Yes, ma'am.
How much is that going to be?
60, just salary, it would be 69.3 for the assistant fire chief, 42 for the 2 officers, 45 for the detective, and I want to say it was 42 for the firefighter.
Okay, that's aside from the 368.
Yeah, that is separate
We
from.
need total of all that,
those-
because that's ongoing.
Those salaries are included in those budgets, aren't they?
Yeah, they're
For the new
included in the full
positions.
budget.
They're in
They're
there.
included in the like
That
if we go
sheet.
to
They're just not subject to the COLA and.
if we go to page I believe it is 26, page 26, that's Department 510. That proposed budget, that includes that includes the 3 new officers in that figure. Does that answer your?
I just want to make sure we have revenue to cover those ongoing expenses.
Mm-hmm.
one thing John and I wanted to introduce, and maybe we have, if we are successful in getting that rural transformation grant for the junction, the 275 we have in this budget for the parking lot could be repurposed. And it might be a way to add an additional police officer. Now, you don't have to make any decisions on that until we know if we got the grant or not, but just, we wanted to put that out there. One other thing I've been busting at the gut to tell you guys, and we don't have this confirmed yet, but John and I received a phone call from Monica Thornton with rural development, USDA rural development yesterday. Evidently, we were not the only recipient of a congressional earmark that was absolutely shocked that it was not coming as a grant, but made subject to median household income requirements. Somebody asked the U.S. Attorney General's office for an opinion on that based upon the law that was passed by Congress. And the initial opinion is they are not subject to median household income requirements. So that means our earmark will likely be coming to us as a full grant. So, but until we get that in writing,
Checks in the mail.
That's okay, but that gives us hope.
That's
That's
right.
hope. That's right.
That's
That's
exactly
a big
right.
plus.
That would be amazing.
That'd be great.
Any idea of when we'll hear firmly from that?
well,
She didn't give, I asked for a date, she did not give a, she did not say, hey, by August 18th we'll have that in writing, but.
so she said, keep going forward with what you're doing.
Okay.
So, you know,
Nothing we do is going to jeopardize,
Jeopardize.
right?
no.
Okay.
Just make sure we follow procurement requirements for professional services, and, by the time there is an actual ruling, I don't think we'll be under contract with anybody to build the fire station yet. We're gonna be going through the selection process for architects, and, at the first meeting in July, staff hopes to have a recommendation to the council on which architect, and we can have a contract for them for our July 12th.
Yeah, it was-
We moved our
We did move it. It's either the
July 5th meeting to the 12th, or was it the
12th or the
19th?
19th, one or the other. I have to look back
Do we
at it.
need- Can we start, would we start surveying? Wait till we get our contract.
Yeah, we can start surveying it, or have the property. I mean, it's already been essentially surveyed.
Oh, it
It's
has?
just the final plat hasn't been recorded.
Right, okay. We can go forward with that.
Yeah. So,
Well, I'm pleased with this budget personally because I just have had a heartburn about being short on policemen, in this area, especially with what's around them. So I'm excited about that.
It is a big budget, and it's a sizable increase from what we had last year, but we were confronted with a whole lot of needs this year, and those needs are not gonna go away. So we've got to do them sooner or later, and it's gonna always cost us more if we do it later. But then again, you just alluded to it, I was wanting to make sure that our fund balance was not gonna be depleted this year, nor will we have to start depleting it as the years go forward, that we can still maintain what we got, like, based on what you're
Yeah,
saying.
it's July 12th.
What's gonna go away, and these one-time purchases, I think
Right.
they'll be okay.
And this is the year that maybe will help us be proactive rather than reactive.
I think we are doing quite a few of proactive things, but we'll probably see savings in the future because
Right.
of the things that we're doing.
I think we will.
So our budget increase this year.
That 22 million number, that's overstated a lot because we're doing $5.2 million in transfers, and so that's why I included the two tabs.
Okay, so without transfers, it's at least a 21% increase.
That is due to spending the items in Fund 71, the streets and sidewalks, the 2.3 million in fire station, at 838,000 in water sewer repair projects, 600,000 in water sewer capital expenditures, capital outlay expenditures, and the general fund items we covered.
All that blew it up. Which will not be reoccurring next year.
No, sir.
well, one additional item for you to think about. Our streets program for FY23 is going to include an asphalt overlay of North Clarendon from Washington to Eastern Avenue. And I know it's been talked about in the past, being that that's such a busy arterial street. It would make sense if it were a DOT road, a state route. So I had emailed Bobby Lieberman earlier this week and asked him, if we overlay North Clarendon, would you be interested in doing a jurisdictional trade on it? We would take 6th Street, which they recently overlaid, I think 3 or 4 years ago, from Alston to Brake Street. In exchange, we would take that, they would take North Clarendon. And he said, yes. And then he asked, would you also consider, since North Clarendon is about twice as long as 6th Street, taking South Brooklyn over also, which the DOT overlaid with asphalt, same time they did 6th Street. We're still giving up more footage on a much heavier traveled road than we would be receiving by taking 6th and South Brooklyn. South Brooklyn, I tried to pull up the traffic counts for it. It's one of the streets that there's no traffic count for, but 6th Street there is, and it's a fraction of what North Clarendon is. So, just something to think about if you'd be interested in that. I think it would be an excellent trade for the town. An asphalt overlay on North Clarendon with its traffic, you'd probably get 12 years out of it. An asphalt overlay on Brooklyn and 6, you could easily get 15 to 20 out of it before we're looking at doing anything. And since it's relatively equal when you factor in the 2 streets for the one, our POW money won't be negatively affected by it either. Because we won't receive POW money on North Clarendon anymore, but we would for 6th and South Brooklyn.
Any other questions?
Did that answer your question though? Pardon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions for John?
So, Nash County had a 6% increase, and Rocky Mountain had a 6%.
That 8% increase in the sewer fees, I think it's 25 cents per unit they bill in CCFs, so that's about 33 cents per 1,000 gallons. That's going to cost us probably about $156,000. In Fund 30, we have a budgeted net of, I want to say, after depreciation, after everything like that, I believe it was about where is it? 746 after we transfer the ARPA money. I'm sorry, the freed up ARPA money from the general fund to there. It'll change the fund balance in a positive way. 746, and that 25-cent increase will be about $156,000 a year, and so it looks like we'll be able to cover it. I don't think we need to change rates starting July 1. Obviously, I'll be checking it every single month, just making sure that, that it's going the way I was hoping. But in the future, I think a lot of the complaints last year when we raised the rates 30%, I think it was, hey, why did we just do this instead of this? So I think next year, I think we should probably start looking at just a 3% increase every single year.
Or a CPI.
Ongoing. Yeah.
Again, something to think about.
So the only rate increase we got this year is the recycle rate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the recycle rate of $1, the second trash can of 20 cents.
That's left up to the resident. They want second trash can.
I think there's 60 people that
60 people got 2.
Yeah, and the water taps went up a little bit, and the sewer taps went to as quoted.
But
those are the 4.
That's per your request, though. Not something that we pushing up him. That's something they asked for.
Yeah, that is. I think we just to maintain being break even in the sanitation fund. I think we have to increase by $1. And the sewer taps, I think that has to be as quoted, just because it could be $15,000, and I don't think the town should be able to advertise, hey, it's $1,500, and then the town have to pay $15,000 to do it. That just doesn't.
But what I was saying though, with rate increase for recycle, that's going to be on your bill whether you want it or not. But if you want a irrigation thing put out, then I request that.
Right.
So
okay, yeah.
The only thing we're pushing on is $1 raise, $1 increase.
Correct.
Everything else is per your request.
Is there an increase at the tipping station? Because in the telegram today, they were talking about an increase. The municipalities going to do the tipping.
Yeah, we took that into consideration in what you have proposed. So that $1 increase through the.
Before garbage was subsidizing recycling, meaning that we had a slightly higher net in garbage than we did recycling. We lost money doing we lost money doing recycling. This makes recycling break even, so it lessens the burden on sanitation, and that dollar increase would have eliminated the surplus that sanitation had. Does that make sense?
Are we gonna break it out in our billing?
I ran it in test. It won't be on the 6-1 bills because I have to wait for, because we have 3,000 accounts. I'm not going to manually do 3,000 accounts, so I have to wait for them to do a mass update to update the bill codes on each bill. So basically, the bill code is 014 for sanitation and recycling. So I just made 014 and R14, and so it will show it should break out as a separate charge.
On the August bill, or July.
Yeah, the 7-1 bill.
People who, don't recycle, but are paying for it, they need to see what they're paying for, that they're not doing.
Why would they not be recycling?
There are people who don't put out their cans.
Sorry.
I'm, that's
But
baffling.
you're not
That's
going to just throw that in the
mind-boggling.
garbage right there?
No, this is recycled material.
Wasn't that blue recycling can?
But overall, our budget is up at least 21% this year.
Well, it has to go up with funds
yes, ma'am.
received from grants and all.
ARPA.
Yeah.
And that's predominantly 2.3 million for the fire station, 1.4 for the sidewalk capital, 400 of which is a grant match from CMAC. I'm just looking at these couple numbers. Right there is 4.5 million between fire station, sidewalk capital projects, water sewer capital project fund.
If we get all the grants we've applied for, there's another $11 million of spending that this budget may be amended for. But it's all for capital improvement projects.
Well, John, I don't know how the rest of the council feels. I think you've done a great job at explaining and breaking stuff out. I mean,
You've
whatever.
answered every question, you're
I
right.
mean, I don't have anything.
Off
I don't
the
have
top of
anything
your
if I can
head.
ask you. Yeah, off the top of your head, even though you do throw it out sometime, but you're on top of it.
Well, it's
so.
because I stutter. I have to know things off the top of my head, or else I stutter too much.
I did not know that. I did not know that. But I think you've done an outstanding job preparing this budget. Like I said, it's a 27% increase, but still, we had to do. We've got to either pay now, or pay later. And the saving grace of all of this is that our tax rate's not going up.
Right.
So we can say, yeah, we went up 20%, 22%, but we didn't increase your taxes now.
And when citizens talk to me, guess what his number one concern is?
See, my taxes going up.
Safety.
Well, yeah, safety.
Safety, that's what they all want to know. Are y'all gonna?
That is huge.
That,
I would say second on the list is water sewer.
And water
So
sewer.
we need to be
Exactly.
repairing those.
That's true.
and the citizens deserve good water, they deserve the pipes not breaking all the time.
And we need to do something, which I feel like this budget is attempting to do, to keep good staff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
To try to retain staff. We're competing with so many entities around us, local governments that are larger. And if we don't continue to try to keep our salaries and benefits in line with what other places are doing, then we're going to continue to lose people. And we need to get and keep good people. So I'm
And
glad to see
I
what
was
we're doing
talking
there.
with either the chief police or fireman one, and he said, well, actually, we were just talking about, he said, actually, if you let someone go, it's actually costing you more because we've got to re-suit them, we've got to train them, they've got to be gone
You
for
can't
training.
you can't transfer everything over.
Right, he said, so,
Well,
Right.
90%.
Retaining them with these things costs less than losing them and then having to rebuild.
right.
80 or 90% of our employees that we have here, and I'm using that percentage loosely, 80 or 90% of our employees that we've got here are here because they love working in Nashville.
Exactly.
So we got to make sure we keep it where they love working in Nashville. So salaries and stuff is going, I mean, they can see when we're doing what we can for them. If we did not increase them, they would say, well, they don't care. So then they start looking. So we've got to gradually feed them, to keep good employees, and we do have good employees.
And we've got to put ourselves in their positions.
Yeah, we do.
Suppose you were a policeman and you had a family
That's right.
and a group of people sitting around deciding what, you know?
And the people in Wake Forest are waiting for you,
Right.
you know, so we got to keep it here. Because Wake Forest has pulled quite a few of our officers from us.
Does anyone recall the last time Nashville increased its property tax rate? Hasn't been since I've been here.
You anticipate it going up next year?
I don't think so.
You know?
The tax rate? The rate or the valuation?
Valuation.
The rate.
I think the rate, I don't see why it would change from 58
No, because we do a reval in a
We
year
do
or
a
two.
repair year after.
for
2025.
fiscal year 25.
25, yeah.
That should be probably about $200,000 of increased money.
Yeah, in our favor. Okay.
And if we can get some of these residential areas in and families in them, that will be more income too.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be
And-
good.
And more additional industries. I mean,
Right.
We talked about the possibility of a shell building and.
When are we gonna
Putting
make that
another
decision?
I was just going to ask that.
Well, I know if you guys penciled through here, that 20,000 for the gateway
there.
is not in here.
Oh, it's not in here. Okay.
No.
Is it in there?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I thought it was.
I'm sorry.
10 and 10.
It's in there. But we hadn't sent it to them yet.
Well, we've been waiting for the council's decision, which we knew, through the budget work session, you would come to that.
I don't know that it makes a budgetary difference because I think they said that
Right.
any amount that we were going to pay Carolina Gate, we just have it.
We put you on another
Put
fund.
Put it
Right.
aside.
Put it
For
aside
investment.
for us.
Yeah.
These are incentives in new industries.
So I'd love to go the route that Robbie had suggested, getting a firm answer on that shell building, because that to me is like the real tipping point of where we would go. Originally I had thought, why can't we do both? Why can't we have the benefit of both Gateway and the county? But if the county is willing to foot the bill for a shell building.
Not 100%.
50%.
So 50% today?
Probably a minute.
Okay. Well, I'd love to know the details of that.
Yeah.
And get a firm answer as to what that would look like. But I mean, I do definitely see some great benefits of working with them, where not only do we concentrate on our industrial parks, but we can also concentrate on our downtown and filling up those buildings. And it seems like Susan's really taking the lead on the residential part too, so maybe we can talk about, acquiring land for the town, annexing in and having greater development without
750.
chewing up all of our green space.
And then and I was thinking about
150 a
it
square
also
foot
processing it.
times
And I
50,000.
think they've done this, I'm not putting anybody down.
50,000
But they've
square
got
foot.
Nash County
just take a loan for that.
and
Probably.
Edgecombe County. And then Nash would just be Nash.
So Abby did respond. I had told her my concerns with seeing how much was happening with Edgecombe. Really, are we going to be forgotten? And she assured me that we would not be. That they have tons of marketing material to go out for Nashville. But at the end of the day, I think the shell building might really make that difference. So if we could get details and confirmation and a firm plan on that, that would sway me. But that's just me.
Now, is that shell building they're referring to, is that contingent upon us already cleaning all the stumps and roots and stuff off?
Yeah,
Or that's inclusive?
no.
And that's about 250,000, right?
No, it's not quite that much. I think the most expensive bid we got was 198 and the lease was 145. And our gateway application, I think if I remember right, it was for 182,000.
Gateway?
We sold-
I'm sorry,
Golden Leaf?
Golden Leaf.
We sold the trees for about 42.
Yeah, So,
we
but
make
there's some-
nothing off the trees.
I put in that application, Louise, some due diligence, as Andy was talking about. We don't have an archaeological review on it, we don't have an endangered species review on it, we don't have a current phase 1 environmental on it. So I included those costs too, because you could do 3 due diligence activities along with the project that we applied for. So that's why it's more. But yeah, we still pledged the council pledged the 42,000 we got in the timber sales as a match. It didn't require one, but it certainly shows good effort on the town's part. And I think, Nash County said that they got a grant from Golden Leaf to do one of their shell buildings. We should be able to get one also if we do one on Industry Court.
The American Natural Food expansion just fell through.
That's gone.
We never got any feedback, and it was kind of like it disappeared.
I thought we did get,
We kept waiting on the guy, I don't remember his name, the guy out there that
Doug,
to go forward, and every time we questioned him about it, he said, well, we're gonna do it, and then they were almost like the tire place that they had down here
Yeah.
at the place that they were gonna do so much, and then they finally said, well, no, I'm not gonna do it,
I never heard, Louise, whatever happened to that project.
But they will stay here doing.
Oh,
what
yeah.
they're doing.
They're not leaving, but they're
There was
just not
supposedly going to be
expanding.
some announcement from the one North Carolina.
right, it was a couple of weeks
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
and
The,
then-
the application was in,
yeah.
the grant had already been approved, so to speak, and the governor was all set to make an announcement as soon as Doug gave the word, and
Everything was a go.
never
Some
happened.
fell through.
Well, we can't, put that on Oppie. I think she really has done a fantastic job for Nashville. It's unfortunate. I think everybody thought that was happening. It wasn't just one person saying this is going to go forward.
Not at all.
Okay, any other questions, input?
Well, we already have the public hearing scheduled for the budget, and that'll be June 7th.
I have one thing. Sorry. So, over the years for our budget, we've done a request for bids for, seeing who we wanted our auditor to be. We've done it for banking, to see who we want to bank with. And I'm thinking we should probably consider doing something to get a strictly municipal attorney, someone who knows municipal law, and just to open up the field and make it fair, where we just put it out there to see what we can get as far as rates. Our legal fees increased quite a bit last year. If that's something that you all might be interested in.
I think it would be a good exercise to try to look and see.
Okay.
I think having someone that knows municipal law would be just like somebody that knows educational law in the school business,
Our issues are kind of unique.
Right.
As long as we don't have to send anything to bill drafting.
Right, yeah,
My goodness.
Yes.
How much do we usually budget for attorney fees? It's usually about $10,000.
Well, it's spread out over
It's spread
several
out between a
departments.
lot. Year to date, we spent around like $18,000 to $20,000, and
Well, that was because Mark was at every meeting, right?
yeah, it was. I looked through all the bills. All of them seemed like legitimate things. They were just
They are.
not
all things we asked
forecasted
them to do.
the May before that. And
I think our problems are just getting more complex. Where, to your point, he was there because we had several, hearings and things where citizens didn't really know the rules, and
In the past, it was usually for a closed session. We might have an attorney. He's been a regular at town meetings.
well, I guess that's a good thing, right? Because that means that developers are coming and wanting to do things, and
We've had a lot of real estate transactions that have required some expertise that I know I wouldn't have, so.
Well,
But in the budget, I increased it to the point where I think it's slightly up from what it was this year, just to account for any overage.
well, thank y'all so very much, and our next meeting is when,
June 7th. And Sarah's got the packets for it for you to take with you
And
today.
Randy, we wish you happy wedding.
Yes.
Just pray everything will be perfect.
I checked the wedding fund balance this morning, and it's still got a positive in it.
until this weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We're waiting for the balance. So we all agree with this, but
Is everybody in agreement with this budget and we're ready to present it to the
Yes.
citizens of Nashville?
Anything you want me to have for the 7th?
Anything that you feel like John needs, I think just what you've
What
had,
you
you've
got-
answered
what
every
you got, you can
question,
answer all
so
the
you
questions.
You'll have
answered
to
the
have a
question.
budget ordinance, of course, at the meeting.
Yeah, the budget ordinance is in the packet.
Okay. But I want to reiterate, I guess, what it was Larry saying, thanking John and his staff, Randy, and everyone, because I think it's a good budget. It's a very, it's an aggressive budget, but we're at that point where we need to move forward with some things that we can do. I'm pleased with it, what we're doing as far as staff, what we're doing for public safety, and just seeing some positive, good things going on for the town.
Randy, I did pat him on the back. I wasn't trying to slight you. Because I know it was a group.
He makes me look good.
But
That's why we hired him.
Because he does the numbers.
And Sarah too.
And Sarah, because she does the paperwork. Hey, Randy, what do you do?
It's up 6%. And I think
He does numbers, she does the paperwork. What do you do?
Nottingham's up 6% from last year.
I think if you take away the large capital projects, ours is probably up. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's probably around that 5-6% if you take away
The fire station. and
the large capital projects.
But don't they consider that when they're,
Well, no, if they're not doing as many, like, say your budget's $10 and you do $5 in capital projects, your budget's up 50% then. But if your budget's $100 and you do $5, it's barely up at all. So I think we're just doing a higher proportion to our overall budget in large capital projects than Rocky Mount or Nash County overall are.
Okay, then,
I'm just trying to, digest 21%.
Only because it's all attributed just to Fire Station 2 and Sidewalk Capital Project and the Water and Sewer Capital Projects.
One-time projects.
That it doesn't hit me as strong as that just because there is an identifiable, like, in 3 years we're not going to build a Fire Station 3. I'm sorry, if 10,000 people move in, yeah, we would do that, but presumably we're not going to spend $2.3 million in 3 years on another fire station.
Right.
So it's just it's a lot of those things that are happening in 23 that aren't going to happen in 24, didn't happen in 22, and didn't happen in 21. That's why.
But if we do, we'll seek another earmark.
With greater clarifications, right?
well, listen, do I hear a motion? Thanks again to everybody and have a wonderful Memorial Day. Do I hear a motion that we adjourn?
I move to be no further business, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank
Thanks,
y'all
everyone.
so much.
Hallelujah.